Hi, this is Christian. In this video, I'm going to go over the assignment 1, which is the guest book, and I'm going to start everything from scratch. All right, so my approach may be different from yours, and that is the neat thing about PHP. In most programming languages, you can do any project in any way you want. But this is just one of the ways that I would do, and you'll see that how I will organize my files, how I use a lot of functions instead of just some plain code and so on. So first of all, let's go ahead and turn on the Apache and MySQL. And I'm going to go into the admin interface, which is this PHP and create my new database. I will just call it Guestbook for this one. And then I'm going to create a table called guests, all right, with 4 fields. Yeah, we can keep it 4. And then now the first field is the ID. We'll use that as a primary key, and we'll just say AI, and that should set the primary key by default. Okay, and we'll let MySQL manage that for us. And then we're going to have here for name, the name of that guest member. And I'm going to have one more here for email. This would be kind of similar. And then here maybe like a comment or a message if you want to use something like that. This would be a varchar or text. Okay, I just use 255 text for that and click save. Okay, so that is our database. It's all set up. So you're pretty much done here for now. Okay, so let's go into PHP Storm. And then, so here, I'm going to create a folder. I'm already inside the examp, htdocs, and the directory here. So I'm going to create a folder called unit 1. Okay, so it wants you to organize your assignments based on units. It's just easier that way. And then inside a unit here, again, you can do it differently. And this is just one way how to do it. I'm going to put all the includes inside the includes folder. Okay, I'm going to have another folder for, usually you have like one for images, CSS, and JavaScript, and so on. Or another way to do that is you can say you can create an assets folder. Okay, inside the assets folder, then you have those directories, like the CSS folder, and I have one for scripts, that would be like JavaScripts, and then one here for images. Okay, I probably won't use any of those yet, but we'll have those in there and we'll prepare those. Okay, so now in the CSS, I can go ahead and create one for now. We'll call it just main.css. Okay, we'll create some code in here later on. I won't use images or scripts yet, so we'll leave those as they are. Now in the main directory, I'm going to create a new, I'm going to get the HTML file, just put test for now. I need to grab this information here, okay, and copy that over to the PHP file. So go back and create another file. This is the entry page. So it will be just the index.php. And as you can see, there's nothing here. That's why I created this file. So I can just basically copy this and put it over here for now. Okay. And we can turn this off. I just want to get that template here. Okay. So we have an index for the home page. And then you're going to have a navigation on the top, footer at the bottom, right? And then your main content in the middle of the body. Okay. So I'm going to give it a title here. You can call it, you know, maybe I'll call something like my awesome guest book, something like that. Okay. And then, so I'm going to have another file here. And this file will be a config file. Okay. It's very common to have a config file. You see that most, if you run to most, you know, sites, or if you have access to the source code, you see a config file. This is all your configuration goes in here. And then the includes file I have in here, I might have, usually you have like, you know, a nav include, a footer include, and other includes and so on. So I'm going to do a little bit different here, okay? In this example, I'm going to use a lot of functions. So I won't be using like just plain code in here. And we include those into the other files. I'll be using a lot of function calls. Okay, so here I have a function call, a file called functions, and this will contain all my function utilities, right? So things like maybe show my forms, show my footer, show my header, and all those stuff will be in functions. And I'll have another file here for my DB, so I can call it just DB, and that would be my DB database connection. Okay, so let's start with the database connection while we're already here. Now we already have the DB set up. So here I'm going to define some constants. Okay, some constants here will be I'll put here for DB constants. The first constant will be the host, and this will be just localhost. Okay, and press Ctrl D a couple times to duplicate those. And then here will be the user, and then this is the password, and this is the database itself. Okay, the default database. So the user will be root in this example here. If you are putting on a different server, you will have to change this user to your user and to your password. I think your local XAMPP or local database does not have a password, so you just leave it blank. And then the database is, I call it Guestbook. Okay, so those are my constants. And then now, so my DB connection, so instead of saying, con equals MySQL connect, right? I put here host, and then user, and then pass, and then DB. Right? Instead of doing that, you're going to put this into a function. So I have a function here called connect, and then I'm going to return this connection here, right? So I'll move that up there. So I'm going to return that instead. Okay, and of course you want to test it first, make sure it's working nicely, right? If there's any error, then you want to show something. So you can say typically you always want to use a try catch. Okay, anytime you do a database connection, do input output, you access a database of some sort, always try to use the try catch. And I highly recommend and encourage you to use that as well. So you try that. If there's any error, we're going to catch at the exception of, we're going to pass the error messages to the E, and then here you can then, echo something or something, right? So you can say echo something like something went wrong, could not connect, and then you put here the error messages. And then I just attach that here to say E, the arrow, skinny arrow, and the get message. Okay, that will give the message if there's any error. And then up here in the try, when you do the connection, you check to see if there is an error. So if connection, if there's no error, then you are good. That means we're going to return this connection back, right? And just so you can see, I'm going to echo a message here, connected. Okay, if there's an error, then you can show another message, or another option is to throw an error, force it to throw an error. So throw new exception, you pass in a message here, and the message will be cannot connect. Okay, so whatever this error message is going to be passed to the E. E will get this same message because it's something that you throw, and that'll be sent to the message if it's at this level. Okay, if it's out here at this level, if you somehow you don't have the database or the password is incorrect or any of these has an error, then that error will be sent over to the E as well, but through the default error messages. Okay, so that is for connecting databases. So that's one of the functions. And if this is not successful, then you throw an error, and then down here you probably also want to return something here. Return maybe a null value. All right. So return null. That means when I think null. Yeah. So when null is returned, then you can check and then use an if and else block to check that. Okay. Okay. Is it big capital N or is it low N? I would say probably low N. Sure, probably doesn't matter there, but okay. So this is for connection. Now, then in your config file, you want to include it here. Okay, so the idea is that in your index page, right, you're going to include your navigation footer and things like that. You don't want to do so many includes, okay? So up here, for example, if I go up here and I just do one include, right? So if I do include the config, if I do that, everything came with it, right? My footer, my navigation, all the stuff I can get access from the single include file. So that means in my config file, I'm going to include. So I put here includes. I call this dependencies. Okay. Dependencies. Okay, so the include here will be for the includes DB. I need that one. I'm going to include another one here for the function. Right, for function is included as well, and any other includes will go on there because so you just put all in one place. So I need to do one for that, and yeah, so that's all I need for that one for now. And then here I can have a DB connection here, right? So I can say I put my con here in the space here. My connection is it can be assigned with the function connect, because this connect here is in here. You call this function, it does all of that, and what does it do? If it's successful, it returns the connection back. So this whole thing is the same as saying this. I write this whole statement right in here. Okay, so again, a function is really powerful. So that's all I have for this one, right? So I can include that, and then my function here, then I'm going to go and do some stuff in here. So this would be like utility function utilities, something like that, okay? And one of the functions you can use is to say function get nav, or I said top nav. Okay, we'll do that in here. I have a function to get footer. Okay, and then and what else do I need to get, right? So I have all the other forms, and then we'll come back later and we'll add more here. But for now, the footer will be something very simple. So I'm going to return a string of footer tag. I'll use the @ symbol here, 2020, my name, and then I guess I own this, right? Something like that, okay? And return this, oops, close my footer. Yeah, I return that back as a string. Then the nav will be kind of similar. So I'll be return again a string, and the string will be, oops, the nav. And then so the nav, I have maybe a UL, and then I have the LI for each of those navigations. So here would be a link that goes to the index.php. This is the home page. Okay, so home. And then I can duplicate this again, Control D. This would be for the, what should I view this? Okay, I guess view for view Guestbook. Okay. And then this is for, I guess, sign up. So here just say write. What should we call this one here? I guess just write out Guestbook, I guess. Okay, what sign Guestbook is, I guess, makes sense. Okay, so I have those 3 navigation links there. And of course, I'm going to style these with CSS. So for now, this is good enough. I'm going to save this, go to the code, and reformat my code. So it's kind of nice and aligned. Oh, I forgot to, yeah. So just going to make it look kind of nice for me only. The computer doesn't care. But so I have those 2 functions, right? And they are included in the config file already here. That means when I include in my index file up here, I can access them. So right in here, in my body, I'm going to have maybe a div for a main container. This is the main container of my entire site. I have something like that. And then in here I have the, I guess the header, right? And then inside, after header, I have my main. And then after my main, I have my footer. Okay, you see the logic I'm doing here? Of course, it's just one method to do it. So in the footer, I have my function called getFooter. Okay, I make the function call down here. And then the header somewhere in the navigation, maybe up here somewhere as well. In my header, I'm going to have like an H1. Maybe I put my title. Again, it looks like my awesome guest book. I put here, maybe just put an awesome guest book. I use that. Put right here. And then after that, I have my navigation. So here again, get a top nav. Okay. And so that's my navigation. This is the main container. I have some content in here. Maybe we have something like welcome to my guest book, something like that. And then I'm like, please sign my guest book. It's free. I don't know, something like that. And then down here we have another message here. Thank you, right? So that would be my home page. And if I save this, let me try to run this and see what happens, okay? So I'm going to go and run it and have an error. Let's see what happens. Something is not acting up right. So let's see what's going on. Oh, I need to configure my PHP. So down here, go here. I need to use version 7 or later and the PHP 7.4. Okay, if you don't have that set up, you won't be able to run. Then make sure you set up and go find that PHP executable. And then I'll apply. Okay. And then let's go back to the browser and refresh it again. Okay, so there it is. Yeah, everything is there. Some formatting issues here, but my I just needed my CSS to format this, and you can see that I was successfully connected, right? This is the message from the DB. So once you know that's working, you can go back and turn that message off. Okay, so back here then in my DB, I don't need that anymore. That means this is good. I can turn that off. Okay, we don't need that for now. So now back to my index page. Down here is not an @ symbol. I think it's the ampersand. Okay, not the. I think it's the ampersand. Yeah, ampersand. And let's give it a try again. Yeah, ampersand for the copy. Okay, so it looks good. And then when I click the home, it takes my index page, view. I don't have those yet, and so on. All right, so now to end this video for this part, I'm going to go and just style the CSS to make that look a little bit nice, and then we're done. Okay, so up here on the index and the top page, I'm going to go here and add a link to my CSS. The style sheet, href will be from the assets folder, CSS, and then main. Okay, that's my style sheet. And I'm going to go to the CSS. And I did earlier already. So up here, we're going to maybe add a very simple CSS rule at the top here for the body. I want the text to be aligned at center. And I want a margin 0. This is just a very common setup, so you can see I kind of memorized this by default. And then I want the font to be well, sans serif, Arial, and then lowercase. Well, doesn't matter, I guess. And Georgia. Okay, I think it was uppercase. So those are my default font, right? And then I'm going to change a different background color, okay? Background color, I want that to be I kind of like orange burley wood. Let's go with the corn silk for that one. Okay, that's the body. And then the header, I have a header to style. I have that main container to style, right? And what else? Yeah, I have my navigation stuff, right? So here, I put here the navigation. Put the nav UL. I want the list style type to be none. Okay, I don't want any of those dots, right? And then you're going to also style, well, you're going to put a padding as well. Set the padding to 0. If you don't do that, there's a padding by default, and it has some spacing, makes it look kind of ugly. We'll come back and do that in a little bit. So my header, and I guess my header is going to be, it's that the at the top of the bar, right? Include my logo if I have a logo, and the navigation. So let's say we go back, is this part here. I want this. This is my header. I want that to be in the top here. Maybe I want a dark orange color. And then this is the body and my footer at the bottom as well. So my footer and the nav tab will be kind of similar color. So let's go back and modify this. So then I want the padding to be maybe 10 pixels all around. I want the height to be 100%. However, the height is, because it's based on, I guess, based on the number of the item you have there, right? The content. The more you have, then the higher it gets. Of course, you can set to any height you want. And the background color will be, I'm going to choose this like an orange color. Not coral, well, I want a darker one. Dark orange. Orange red looks good, I think. Yeah, I like that one. Okay, and then I want the yeah, so that's good. And then the main container, you want this to be centered. So I'm gonna have a margin. You could do something like margin would be, the top would be 0 px, and then left and right would be auto. Okay, if you set auto, then that div tag will be centered. That's what that auto left and right means. And then of course padding will also be set to 0. We don't want any of the default paddings. Okay, let me just save this and let's see what happens on my to my site. Refreshed it. Okay, so you can see that it's coming out kind of nice, kind of yellowish. I need to do the same for the footer. The footer needs to be at the bottom, right? So you can use a fixed position. And I want to format this so it's not in block, but in a different block. And I want maybe like a button-like type of design. Okay, so let's just do that really quick here. Go back to my PHP Storm. Okay, so I got that. That's good. And then now I'm gonna do the UL li. Okay, I want the li to be the display, which is gonna be a inline block type. Okay, and there is the difference between inline and block is that, you know, inline, you have both the inline and block features. Okay, so without the block, if I just do inline, then if you try to, you know, add width to that li, it won't work. Okay, to make that work, you have to put the block in there. That's one of the major differences. The background color for my links will be just black. I use black color. The padding, maybe top would be 3, left and right, I want to make it a little bit large, 10. And then I want a border radius as well, make it look kind of nice. Maybe we'll try 4. Okay, that's for each navigation link. Okay, so that's the one. And then when I do a hover, when I hover my links, what do they do? So I'm basically going to change the color to a different color. So the color will be not black, but I'll change it to white. Yeah, that's it for that background color. And then I have my links, right? So nav A, in the navigation, I want those to be, the text decoration will be none. I don't want those underlined stuff. And then I want the color to be white because I'm having a orange background. Okay, so that would be the default color, white. And then when I hover that, what happens, right? So let's go back and take a look first. Okay, so if I refresh, okay, so you can see it looks kind of nice here. When I hover, yeah, my font kind of disappears because they are white. So when I hover, I need to change the text to black and white and white and black here, right? So opposite that. So get nice. Okay, so that means my nav a hover. When I hover that, the color should be black. Okay, and I think that's it for this one. And then I'll do the navigation for the footer. Footer. The footer will have so the position you want to be fixed. Okay, if you want to move your footer to the very bottom, you do this. So you say bottom is 0. Okay, if I do that, watch, you see that if I go back and refresh, you see my navigation moves to the bottom down here. Okay, it's not centered, so I need to center that. I need to wrap it and put some padding around it and make it stick at the bottom. Okay, so now when I scroll my stuff here, my nav and the footer will always stay down there. Okay, so let's go back here. So I got the bottom. I want the margin left and right to be auto, right? So again, you can see margin. Top and bottom will be 0. I don't change that. And then the left and right will be auto. So now it's center. Okay, that's centered. I want the height of the footer to be at least maybe like 50 pixels, just tall enough. And I want the background color to also be the orange red. That's the same orange red. Maybe need some padding. I'll just try 10px all around. The width of this will be I'll just inherit from whatever that width. And then of course the color will be also white. Okay, because on dark orange you need the white to have a nice contrast. Well, let's see what happens. Okay, so there you go. It's down in the bottom, but it's not somehow it's not pushed to the right yet. And let's see what happens here. Okay. Let's go back to my code and see what happens. Well, maybe I need to, looks it's pretty short, so I think my main padding, yeah, I don't need padding, I guess. I can leave that, that's fine. But I want to have the width for my main to say 100%. Okay, I need to stretch that all the way across. And if I don't do that, I'll limit it to whatever the size I have set. So there we go. My navigation looks good. As you can see, it has a nice contrast to that. And then my footer, it's down here. Okay, so that's good for this one. And then in the next video, I'm going to go and complete the Vue.js to show the Guestbook.